Today we're going to talk about adding and subtracting rational numbers. Now remember, rational numbers are numbers that can be written as a fraction. Okay, so remember that includes terminating decimals and repeating decimals. So first we're going to talk about how to add and subtract decimals. So remember, to add and subtract decimals, we have to actually line the decimal place up. So you have 13.12 and 8.6. Now since there's no number under the 2, you can put a 0 there to hold that place. And make sure again that your decimal points line up. Now the signs on these are the same, so just like when you're adding and subtracting integers, the signs are the same, so we're going to add those together and see how many negatives then total, because they're both negative. So adding 2 plus 0, 6 and 1, you drop the decimal point down. 8 plus 3 is 11, carry the 1 and 2. So 21.72, that will be negative because we combine two groups of negatives to get more negatives. This next set, remember minus and negative makes this a plus sign, so the signs are actually different. So we're going to subtract them. So I'm going to put the bigger number on top, 50 or 42.5. Again, make sure those decimal places are lined up. Since there's no number here, again I'll put a 0. Since again the signs are different, we are subtracting. So we need to borrow. 10 minus 5 is 5. 4 minus 2 is 2. Drop the decimal point. 2 minus 2 is 0, and 4 minus 3 is 1. 42 was a bigger number and it was positive, so it is going to be positive 10.25. Next, we're going to add and subtract fractions. Now, for adding and subtracting fractions, you need a common denominator. So remember, that's the bottom of the fraction. The numerator is the top. Okay, so in this first example, the denominator is already the same. So we know we're going to have fifths because we're adding fifths and fifths. So we have 3 fifths and 1 fifth, so we have a total of 4 fifths. Okay, you do not change the denominator when it's already the same. Basically it's saying you have 3 of something and 1 of something, so you have 4 of that something. In this case it's fifths. We do not add the 5s together. Now we have 1/2 and 2/3. The denominators are not the same. So first we need to make those the same. So I know 2 and 3 both go into 6. So I'm going to make those both a 6. So they have a common denominator. Now to get a 2 to be 6, I have to multiply by 3. Whatever I do to the denominator, I have to do to the numerator. So 3 times 1 would be 3. Now on this one, to get 3 to be a 6, I'm going to multiply by 2. So again, make sure you do that also to the numerator. 2 times 2 is 4. Now I have 6th and 6th, so I can add them together. 3/6 and 4/6 is 7/6. Now I'm okay if you want to leave it as an improper fraction. That means that the top or the numerator is bigger than the bottom, the denominator. You can also change this into a mixed number. Okay, so that's called improper fraction. You can change that into a mixed number. I have no problem with improper though. So then you would see how many times does 6 go into 7? 1 time, and there would be 1 left over. So either one of those answers is correct. I personally usually leave them improper because that's one less step I have to worry about. Alright, so here we're subtracting. Again, we need a common denominator, so 8 and 3 go into 24. Multiply the 8 by 3. Also make sure you do the numerator, so we end up with 9/24. And then multiplying by 8, we end up with 8/24. So 9 minus 8 is 1/24. Now you could have also thought of the signs are different, so make sure you subtract, but it already had the first one that was bigger, so We didn't have to worry about that as much. Now you don't always have to multiply both fractions. So in this next example, 8 goes into 16, so I can just change the 8. I don't need to change the 16. So I can leave that as 7/16. And then, let's see, this would be 6/16. Now plus and minus is just a minus sign. So we have 7/16 minus 6/16, which means I have 1/16 left. Alright, last one. 5 multiplied by 4 to get 20. Multiply the 4 by 5 to also get 20. So we'd have 8 over 20 minus 15 over 20. Now, this one, the signs are different. This bigger one is a negative, so my answer is going to be negative. Okay, and how many more negatives do I have? 8 to 15. That would be 7 more negatives, because 15 minus 8 is 7. So my answer would be negative 7/20. Now, it wasn't the case in any of these, but if you can reduce, always reduce. Okay, that's very important. So if you had something like 2/4, make sure you will reduce to 1/2. We always reduce our fractions. Okay, and that is it for adding and subtracting rational numbers.